Doctor Who fans across the world, and welcome to another Who Corner to Corner podcast. My name is Paul, and as always, I'm... Uh-oh. Oh, no. I've stepped on something. I don't think I'd better move, Jeff. I think I'm going to have to stay like this for the next 45 minutes, where if I can just shift my weight and I can get it off and... Whoa! It's a Who Corner to Corner badge. Look at that lovely thing. Phew. For 1 minute there, I thought it might be a landmine. Do you know what I mean? A future landmine with... You've got one as well. Is yours explosive?
No, it's just shiny.
Yeah, shiny's good. Look, see, here we go.
Why did you turn into an all deck then?
Who did what?
You turned into an all deck.
Did I? I don't know what you're talking about. I've got no idea, mate. I've literally no idea what you're on about. But yes, anyway, enough of this Ant and Deck nonsense. We are here today to talk about Boom! 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 Yes. Who knew that when Sophie Aldred delivered those lines in remembrance of the Daleks way back in 1980, whatever it was, that it would become synonymous with a whole different sort of Doctor Who story that relies on a small cast of characters and our main character himself, the Doctor, incapacitated for pretty much the entire show. So there you go. So yes, indeed, we've just seen Stephen Moffat's return to writing Doctor Who, first time in many, many years. Lots of years. Who? What?
He produced it as well.
And he did. Did you see his name up as executive producer, along with the director, whose name I can't recall right now? I know I should have the facts in front of me. Yes, something like that. Anyway, so Jeff, what did you make of this episode, me old friend? How did it go for you?
Well, I really particularly liked the use of the volume type stuff for the Space Fist.
Yes, the cyclorama. It was. I mean, it was only like a part of a volume, wasn't it? It was just like a few thousand LED screens as opposed to an entire cyclorama.
Yes,
an entire studio filled top to bottom and ceiling with LED screens and stuff.
There was a picture shared from Doctor Who Production News on Twitter. Someone posted behind the scenes, and they showed the screen, and it was not a full one, something.
But it was enough. It was good enough, and it used the same sort of technology, as far as I know, didn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So that was really cool. And like the volume stuff, that was really big a few years ago, and then people sort of turned on it.
Did they?
Yeah, and like they do with most stuff.
I'm detecting a very cynical note to your voice here, Mr. Jeff.
Well, I think it's silly because it works really well on the Mandalorian, and it enables massive vistas to be created.
And they're right there in the moment, aren't they? And that's got to be better for the actors to react to something and feel like they're in a place with all the environment around them, rather than a whole blue screen or a green screen or something.
It's not green screen because there is a set to it all, and the screen extends things and creates the movement with the camera and stuff like that. And
you get the lighting as well, don't you? Because the light comes from the image being shown. So reds, oranges, greens are all reflected in the faces and clothing and stuff.
It was used really well on Oblivion, the Tom Cruise film, a few years ago. For
yes, I have seen that. I didn't mind that film. Actually, I thought that was pretty decent.
Great film. But
it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But sorry, back to it.
People they moaned about Quantum Mania. There's a car outside. They moaned about Quantum Mania being, too volume, too green screen and stuff, and
Well, what do you expect, guys? Are we going to build a set for real or what, huh?
You can't go to the quantum realm, and I think this tech is really good for achieving stuff that you literally can't do for real, or you couldn't create a remotely convincing set for. So anyway, I thought it worked well for it.
It's kind of like the modern way of people complaining about cardboard or foam rubber sets and things. Isn't it? Let's complain about the LED screens instead. Let's just do that. It's not real. It's not real. It's fakery. Zod this science fiction stuff. I don't believe in a word of it. It's nonsense. I'm never going to switch my TV on ever again. I'm just going to eat potatoes from now.
Are you?
Yeah. Potatoes are good for you, man. Anyway, sorry, go on. Yes.
As for the episode itself.
Yes. Oh, that's a face. Ladies and gentlemen who are listening to audio only, Jeff is pulling a face.
Yes. I liked it. I thought it was a great concept. the Doctor stands on the thing. I felt that it. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a really good.
What's it all about?
A great idea.
Yeah.
I think I felt that it went on a bit long, and I was maybe expecting, him to get out of it and something to start happening. So initially, I was like, "Oh, this is good," but I actually started to feel slightly disinterested, which is really, really unusual for me in Doctor Who. I felt that like it was manufacturing tension at points, and I sort of, he's not going to die.
No, that was my main thing with that. The Doctor's not going to die, so the tension's got to come from somewhere else, right? Because that's not the thing at stake in a way. It never is going to be.
It would have been much more effective actually if it was Ruby that stood on it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And whilst I remember, I felt that Ruby in this episode was basically written like blonde Clara. I didn't dislike that, but you can tell,
This is a similar kind of thing going on, wasn't it? Well, with her and also what was her name, Monday Flynn, right? Who's going to be? Well, she's an actor playing the companion later on. She's not the same character, or is it? Who knows?
They're hinting at, and it would be quite cool to have a non. Present day Earth companion. That would be quite good.
Yeah.
I did a tweet. I said the next
did a tweet
going to be Tuesday Jules, and
that's how long did it take to think of that one, mate?
Not long, because you're going to get married and you'll be Monday, Sunday, or something.
They did crack that joke, didn't they? Yeah, you two should get married. Be Sunday, Monday, Sunday. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would have probably been more if the Doctor had gotten off of it quite quickly. That would have been cool. Or if it had been Ruby on it, it would have been a lot more effective. I think, as something to feel like, oh god, this could be quite bad. And if it had been maybe a later episode in the series,
yeah, maybe, yeah.
But I liked.
Could they be killing off Ruby Sunday?
Yeah. So I liked the thing of. If it did blow up and the Doctor, when he'd wipe out half the planet and stuff, that sort of, he's got all that special whatever to him,
He's a complex space-time event, not just a person. Go on, scan me, find out for yourself. Oh yeah, he really is a complex space-time event.
I liked that. That was quite cool. And I did like, the little blocks on the thing and how, they were ticking.
Oh, the LEDs that ran around the thing? It was quite nice. Sorry, go on.
But it just sort of went on a bit.
It did, yeah.
And I sort of liked the semi-piss take of Thoughts and Prayers.
Thoughts and Prayers?
Yeah.
Thoughts and Prayers.
And I think Moffatt said in an interview, like, you see all these people going, oh, my thoughts are with, whatever, and, blah, blah, blah. But why don't you put some money to it? Why don't you do something about it? And, that was quite, amusing, because there is a lot of, like, talk but no action on stuff, I think.
A lot of empty platitudes
that's
in the place of real action.
Yeah. So I feel a bit funny about this one, really. It had some stuff like Shooty, absolutely fantastic again. I like that his Doctor is quite emotional in that, you felt that, when he got upset and he was saying, Ruby, I'm sorry, and, I let you down and all that. Like, I believed it, and, like...
Did you?
Yeah, and even though simultaneously it's hard to buy it all when they've only had 3 episodes together, or 4 if you count the church.
He's blubbed in all of those, though, hasn't he? I think.
I think so. Sorry, what I mean is it's hard to buy the bond between them.
Okay.
After 4 episodes, but then in the show's narrative, they're supposed to have been together for months, but this is the first alien planet she's been to in 9 months. So that's a little bit odd, So, yeah, I feel, kind of odd about it all. Like, parts of it, like production-wise, fantastic. Performance-wise, brilliant. That like both of them a lot. I think they've got a really, like, even though the bond has happened quite quickly, I like it, and they're really good together. And I like Shooty, honey, I'm a bigger bang than and all that kind of. He's kind of quite flirty and, quite kind of, there's a lot of pizzazz to him, if for want of a better word. And I like Ruby, she's already kind of slotted into that, being quite brave and she's right there with him on it all. But, the whole thing, I suppose I was expecting a bit more. I didn't think it was going to be an entire episode just standing on a bomb. And I wasn't really bothered or particularly liked all the digs at belief and stuff like that in it, and those characters.
I think many people did, actually. I've seen a lot of chatter online from people who are not taking that in such a good light.
Yeah, I saw one account, and he said he was offended by it, and then was basically told he was wrong to be offended by it, which isn't fair, because if you let it should be respected, I think. And Doctor, quite, there's no god or devil or anything, but in the Satan, there was a sort of element of, actually, maybe there is, maybe this is, there really is something, but it just sort of felt slightly dismissive, and I can understand why some people have been offended by that. But I saw Joe Ford commented on it, and he doesn't believe in himself, but you can understand the upset, and I didn't like that particularly. Just make something up. You don't have to have a dig at Christianity in it.
I think this is part of the license you give yourself as a writer of fiction, as to where do you insert your beliefs, or where do your beliefs become apparent through the voices of the characters. And I think with Doctor Who doesn't belong to one single writer. Doctor Who's a character that belongs to a lot of many different writers over the years, and has kind of absorbed a lot of stuff from all of those different people, but is essentially morally good. And given that most faiths, when you strip away all the paraphernalia of it and all the pomp and ceremony and everything else, a lot of faiths are actually essentially the carriers of our morality. They're the central tenets of a lot of our laws before there were laws. So, and we've carried those right through. Now, I'm not a big God person myself at all, but I wouldn't disrespect anybody's faith if essentially at the heart of it, it's telling you to be a good person and behave nice and be kind and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I kind of understand things. It's essentially, be kind to each other, love one another, try to do the right thing.
Which is really the core principle of the Doctor, isn't it? That speech, always try to be kind, etc., never be cruel or cowardly.
Love, hope, and
yes. So I think you're right. I think there's a degree of transparency there within the writing, I think, or it's transparently Stephen Moffat's voice rather than the Doctor's voice, I feel, especially when you look at how Faith has been treated in the programme in the past. I think we had a comment on Facebook, actually, which is from Bunyip Aristocracy. Sorry if I pronounced that completely incorrectly, which says, the Doctor slagging off blind Faith feels like a flashback to the time he decided that he didn't like soldiers for no apparent reason, and despite many of his best friends being them, i.e. soldiers. Plus, Bunyip makes the point, he would have been haemovore fodder with that attitude back in 1989 in The Curse of Fenric, in which the said vampires, the haemovores, were defeated by faith. It didn't have to be a faith in God, but a belief in something. And we had that kind of ringing noise that sort of sent them back, whence they came, kind of thing.
And I think that, a writer should be able to write characters and write things that interest them into a script, and things that they believe, and create characters that can explore things that they don't necessarily believe or agree with. But So I think putting in, dismissive stuff about Faith is not necessarily a bad thing in itself, but coming from the Doctor,
the Doctor has to be better.
Yeah, I didn't like, and when again, to go back to 13, Demons of the Punjab and stuff, it was the thought that, the faith is love and hope and all of that kind of thing, travel hopefully and things like that. And, there's a U2 lyric, and it's something like, God is love and love is God on his very best day or something. And, in many ways that kind of encapsulates it all, I think. It's just love in its purest form and being like that. So
it's beautiful, man.
Yeah. And, that's Power Bono, I didn't particularly like that aspect. And, I know, some other people felt the same. So, yeah, I was a bit, kind of mixed on it.
Mixed? You're mixed, my friend.
I thought the ambulance thing was quite good. I'm not buying this Susan Twist thing at all.
She was the ambulance, wasn't she? She was the face of the ambulance in that, and the hologram that popped out of it.
Like the use of sharp scratch, because
sharp scratch. It's kind of, I mean, this was sort of filled with a whole bunch of those Moffatt lines, wasn't it? He does come out with them. We will be saying them. Thoughts and prayers. Sharp scratch. It's the same as, are you my mummy? And, hey, who turned out the lights? That sort of thing, right?
Yeah. It's good. It's things that you can, he's always been very good at taking, the everyday and
but I can imagine how this one would play out in the playground, wouldn't it? A bunch of kids there, getting a little bit leery with each other, and one goes to the other, sharp scratch.
Yeah.
Oh dear, yeah, nothing like a bit of random violence.
I saw
a Doctor Who quote on the end of it.
I saw something from Russell T saying there was a shortage of actors in Equity.
He's just having a laugh, isn't he?
Well, there's this one thing to, mislead.
He's just having a hoot. A lovely hoot.
Shit.
Oi, calm down. Behave yourself. Come on. It's all a bit of fun. We don't know how this Susan Twist character is going to pay off. It creates a lot of internet chatter. It's a lot of buzz. It keeps Doctor Who trending, and it keeps the interest going.
I'm quite interested in that. I want to know more, but I was sort of getting at his claim that that they couldn't. There was no other actors.
He didn't mean that, Jeff. He was only having fun.
Don't say it then. Make something.
Oh dear me! And what else are you going to add to this then? This tirade? Is it a tirade?
No,
he's still on the fence. He's still.
I'm on the fence with it.
You seem to be coming down slightly on these. Slightly didn't really enjoy it as much as I would have liked. Kind of side of things.
I firmly believe that. All Who is good Who, even quote unquote the worst episodes, because I don't really kind of go in for that sort of thing.
You don't hate watch. You wouldn't watch a thing just to hate it.
Yeah, and if Who is an unusual show in many ways because it can be so different from episode to episode as we've seen, particularly.
Oh yes.
Season. So it's inevitable that one episode will be right up your street and the next one maybe. There's always something good in every episode. So, for example, Shooty and Millie here, fantastic. But yeah, I just think I don't know. Maybe this would have worked better midway through a season. It's
almost is though, isn't it? Well, it's number 3, but there's only 8 episodes? 8 stories this season.
8 in all, yeah.
So this is number 3. So 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. But if it had been a 13 episode season in the old days, but it's not the old days, so I get it. But it felt a bit like, Wild Blue Yonder, which I thought was excellent, and a great kind of character piece. But we've only got 3 episodes. Sorry, I'm using my phone. Was
that you? Was that you making rude noises? Are you on your phone? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That would explain everything, because every time I talk over you, you cut out, which is... very disconcerting, so I have to not talk over you, which is difficult for me to do that.
That is something we do, isn't it?
I'm tense, I'm on edge. I'm literally standing on a landmine.
So I can't remember what I was just saying. Yeah, there's always something good.
Always something to love.
And oh yeah, Wild Blue Yonder. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was brilliant, but when you've only got 3 episodes, I was a bit like, like this should have been, the equivalent of Midnight in a series or something. You know what I mean? It felt too heavy to be the middle of 3 episodes. So anyway, I'm a bit rambling now, but yeah, I liked large elements of this one, but I character based between the Doctor and Ruby. But I was, and it's my fault because I was expecting a bit more from the Bond thing. I thought it would lead elsewhere. I wasn't expecting that stuck there the entire time.
It's always difficult when I think you have expectations about something and then it doesn't quite match those expectations or goes off in a slightly different direction from what you're expecting, which I think is perfectly natural. But I think actually this is where program makers can be a little bit clever here, because because they set up expectations with trailers and the press releases and their little sound bites and things that they come out with. And, you get why they want to do it, because they want people to watch. So, let's sell the tension. The Doctor stands on a landmine. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen to Ruby? What do we find out about her?
Like I said, it's a great hook for it.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah. But then there has to be the payoff, doesn't it? And for me, the payoff has to come from the story, So you've immediately, it is a great hook, but there has to be a story that follows it. There has to be some kind of plot, And I think one thing that Stephen Moffat doesn't really seem to be interested in is plot. I think he's all about big ideas, great ideas, comes up with some one-liners, comes up with some incredibly outrageous, really great hard sci-fi type stuff as well, which is right up my street. I love all that stuff, and I much prefer that to the sort of magic realism and high fantasy and high jinx that Russell T Davies sort of comes out with. And I like the fact if we're going to get stories written by different people, that we might get a bit of push and pull in all sorts of different directions. But I think what Stephen Moffat is not always interested in is actual plot or story, and that's not true, because, well, it's not true for every story. Some of my most favourite Doctor Who episodes of the modern era come from the pen of Stephen Moffat. I love Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, that 2-parter, and I love Time of Angels and what's the other half of that, right? So. And I think they're fantastic. They are really high concept. They are strong on plot. They're strong on character, incident, conflict, and everything else. And they're really great stories. They move from A to B through a lot of different other letters of the alphabet in different random directions. And that's great, because I love that sort of fragmented storytelling as well. But I think you're right here. We've got the Doctor stands on a landmine. So the story is, how does he get off the landmine? Basically, that's it. And you're right. So, and they've got to keep that going for as long as possible, right? Because otherwise the story has to be what happens after he gets off the landmine, right? So so that's the thing. So if your story is about the Doctor standing on a landmine, you still have to keep the Doctor involved, right? Because the Doctor is still central, or it doesn't have to be central to the story, but in this way he is. So he can only spout off, advice and, and don't get too close and tell me what's going on here, and, and try to keep himself calm and everything else. But like you said, that's not very interesting in a way, because we know the Doctor's not going to die. So the tension's immediately gone from that point. So you have to make the tension everywhere else. So what we have is a sequence of events whereby the threat to the Doctor, or the threat of the Doctor blowing up and taking the planet with him, is kind of increased layer by layer, right? So first we get Ruby comes along, sees what's going on, goes a little bit closer to him, gets the Doctor's heart racing, gets the LED light moving a little bit further along, and then there's the whole weight redistribution thing, which is another, sort of, because that source of tension, could that activate the landmine to go boom? And then we get Mundy Flynn coming over. I know is it Splice first and then Mundy Flynn. All of these different elements, increase the threat, or increase the potential for that landmine to go boom. But of course it's not going to go boom, because the Doctor's still standing on it, and the Doctor's not going to die, right? Because that's the program gone. So
yeah.
So it's great on. I get exactly where you come from. It's great on the one hand, but it's also completely transparent and pointless on the other hand in some ways, right? Having said that, the ways in which these increasing these escalating levels of tension are introduced are kind of nice. And the first time I watched this, I was going, oh my God, leave him alone. Don't get close to him. Oh my God, what is she doing? She's literally pointing a laser at him. Stop pointing your laser. Stop shooting him. She's actually shooting him now. She shoots him twice. And then, of course, Ruby gets killed or gets, shot out. She's near to death. That's a great moment. I love that moment when Mundy Flynn realizes what's going on and tells Ruby to shoot her. And there's a bit of fun. There's a bit of fun, there's a bit of comedy in that as well. She's going, go on, just do my arm, just do my do my left arm, my left one. Just do it. Come on, just shoot it. And she's just about to shoot it, and along comes what's his name, Kanto, Loverboy, the boyf, and he shoots Ruby, and she rolls down a crater. She takes a long time to roll down that crater, and there's a lot of very stirring music from Murray Gold. So it's like, oh God, here we go again. So I'm not a fan of all that. Just get it down the crate already. She's shot, she lands, she's pretty much dead, okay? So now we got some real tension because now actually Ruby's in trouble. We don't know if she's going to survive the episode. But actually, it being a Stephen Moffat story, she could die in the episode, but it's fine because she'll be brought back to life anyway, which is sort of what probably does happen anyway. So, yeah, it's... It is a weird one. I mean, I also like, I love the hard sciencey type bit. I mean, I say hard science. They're not hard science, but as I said, I prefer these to, the idea of the sort of magic realism of, that we had in the other scripts. So I like that. And I like to say, I do tend to enjoy stories set on battlefields anyway, as you may have guessed.
Yes.
And I quite like the ambulance, but I think what is slightly old hat here, he says, scratching the back of his hat, is this idea of evil corporations. It's a good idea. It was a good idea back in the 80s and 90s when a lot of this stuff kind of started happening with William Gibson and various other cyberpunk type writers, and even the Doctor Who New Adventures, which dug into that whole evil corporation equals bad thing. It's become a real trope in that sort of sci-fi, and I'm not sure that it really added anything to this. Well, I mean, it is the story basically. Evil corporation basically sells. Manufactures wars or engineers wars and casualties to keep itself in business, to keep people buying it, and that's quite a nice little twist. But it's not necessarily an original one. I've seen this in a lot of shows, a lot of books I've read that have done it before. So in the one hand, I'm kind of like you. I'm really torn because I do like it. But there's stuff that really frustrated me and I didn't like as well. I didn't feel it was massively original. I thought it was almost like a kind of collection of Stephen Moffat tropes that we've seen before and a lot of sci-fi tropes that we've also seen before. And yes, it's relatively interesting to a point, the hook, but the story itself isn't very interesting because it's literally Doctor stands on a landmine, has to survive, gets off the landmine and make sure nobody blows up in the meantime. So, and then in between times, there's a whole lot of fluff going on as well, right? So we get some nice references to things that have gone past. We get beach, we get fish fingers and custard references.
The mud witches.
The mud witches as well. Yes, I've met mud people.
The Morax, So that's nice and done quite.
But that doesn't add anything to the story, does it?
No,
really, it's not. It's fluff. Yeah. Enjoyable fluff for sure. Which as a fan and you love those bits, you're going to enjoy. And again, if you're a Stephen Moffat or an 11th Doctor fan, particularly, then the reference at the end to fish fingers and custard is pretty cool. Because we don't hear much about the 11th Doctor, do we?
No,
we don't get him referenced very much nowadays. No. And he was one of the most longest lived Doctors.
He was, very long with the town that he was defending. Its name has escaped me again.
Christmas.
Yeah. That
was the name of the planet, wasn't it? I can't remember now. Whatever.
Fenzor.
Yes.
Was that the planet? I can't remember now.
No. Yeah. Well, whatever. Yes.
We've got some comments from people, their thoughts on the episode. I believe we've got a little audio file from our pal Max in America.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I wish you'd give me a bit of heads up on when you want this to be played, because now I've got to go and find it and make it seem seamless.
I'll
no, it's loaded, mate. I can do it right now. You ready? Should we listen to what Max Blake says? Here goes.
Alrighty. So, boom.
Boom.
By far the best of all of the Shurigawa stories so far. When I finished that episode, I turned to my friend that I was watching it with, and I said, this might be top 10 ever. It is from the character beats, which, crazy that Moffatt is beating RTD on character beats, but, that's another story. Shurigawa proves himself as the Doctor tenfold in this episode. Ruby Sunday is absolutely a superb companion who has a lot of self-confidence and bravery that I really feel is fantastic, and it sets her apart. She's unique enough. She doesn't deserve the Rose Tyler comparisons, I feel. And on top of all that, it had a really great message about the usage of AI and how it can be our downfall in the end. So I think that's very poignant to the time. I've heard people complain about the fact that it was solved with love, but honestly, that feels very shooty. For a darker story, I feel like a Shurigawa story should end with something as lovely as it did. So overall, solid episode. I mean, like, I'm giving it a 9,
Ooh.
10 out of 10.
Wow.
It's brilliant. Anyways, thanks for having my little voice note. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, Max likes it then. 9 out of 10. That's not bad,
I really like that we can all watch something and get something totally different from it. I felt that it was so good that it was a top 10 for him, and that's brilliant. It didn't do that for me, but I'm the fact that Max liked it that much, fantastic. And he got more from it than I did, and I love that. So, Max, thanks for the.
Thank you, Max. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So,
shall I just tell you what Freya thinks of this? Because she's not with us today. She's normally with us on these sort of episodes, but she's at school. She has to go and get an education for the benefit of humanity and herself, obviously. So, but she did say, right, some thoughts that she's got. The first one is, which I think is standard for her, to be honest, So she goes, she sent me these in text format, so I'll read those out. She goes, I liked that it was mostly in one place and not many characters, as it felt more intimate. Fair enough, yeah. And then she's put, I had to explain to you the shifting weight thing about 1 million times because you're dumb. Yeah, that did get me a bit. Because I thought he was going to, when he says about this whole weight thing, I thought he was going to put both his feet on the landmine because he had one hovering in the air. So I think, well, why do you need to increase your weight? Because or whatever. Because your weight's your weight, whether you're 1 foot or 2 feet. I didn't realise, obviously that would be stupid. Why would you put 2 feet on the landmine? Because that's just dumb. So, yeah, okay, you're sort of right. Whatever. I'm not going to admit to that. But anyway. And then she puts, I said, what about Ruby? She goes, Ruby was basically dead the whole time, but she was all independent woman, which when she wasn't dead, which was fun. So, yes, Freya does like a solid, strong, independent woman. And I agree with Max there, actually. I think Ruby's characterization is brilliant. And Millie Gibson is astonishingly good. She does feel... I'll come back to this, actually. But anyway. She goes, yes, when she goes closer to the Doctor. She also likes the compressed bodies, which were disgusting.
Yeah.
It's written. And she liked the ambulance. And she says about Shooty, his leg must have hurt. It's not very realistic. No one has that good balance. But she liked his singing. It was fun.
Yeah.
And singing is very relaxing. So it was nice. I think that's about it. Oh, and she goes, and no Sonic is in this one. And I'm trying to revise chemistry, but it's so boring. Oh, no, that's a different thing entirely. So, there you go.
So that's okay. So she kind of liked it.
She kind of liked it. Yeah, I think she did actually. And I think all in all, I think I did too. And I think with some of these, you have to watch them a few times for it to really sort of bed down.
Yes, maybe. Yeah, if I watch it again, it might click a bit more. So Randy Elaine says, I really dug this episode. I was thrilled to see Millie get a chance to defy the Doctor and elevate her emotional intelligence. Her choice to be near the Doctor and help calm his nerves was truly moving. That was really good. Robot of Death, who's Graham Ward says, nice little set piece giving the cast a chance to shine. It felt passionately like a greatest tropes box set, but it was fun having Moffat work with this team again. They put much of my favourite post 2005 Who, and this was very enjoyable. Nicholas Moore says, amazing episode, though I'm not as hot on it as everyone else is. George Ken says, I liked all the characters, even if some didn't last very long. Lots of greatest hits, like you said, Paul, such as people living on as AI Sims and catchphrases like Kiss Kiss.
Kiss Kiss.
Diabolical Evil Schemes Done said, fantastic. Who, as I like it, heavy emphasis on character, weighty theatrical dialogue, overt moral stance, and overall satisfying. As many have pointed out, the season so far isn't cohesive and seems sloppily plotted, but I'm anticipating the finale to recontextualise things. Greg Cox says it was definitely the best of the three so far. Sam Schneck says, I'm not a Moffatt fan. I thought Shooty's performance was excellent. I continue to be disappointed in Ruby's lack of character development or build on her background. The romantic subplot was pointless, and Mundy and Splice's actions on the battlefield made no sense. Chris Russ says, loved it, best of the series so far. Jenny says, best episode since The Doctor Falls or Twice Upon a Time. Loved it.
Big Moffat fan there.
Matt Price says, excellent episode, thought-provoking with its social commentary. I saw a few similarities with Kablam and the Star Trek Enterprise episode Chosen Realm. And he says, best episode since Nove 2022. Carol says, in my opinion, that was the first time I saw a real relationship between the Doctor and Ruby. This is my favourite episode so far. And the Hugh Tube Show says it was incredible. There is nothing better than an RTD/Moff collaboration. Okay.
I don't think it was much a collaboration, though, was it? I think Moffat wrote the whole thing and that was it.
I think so.
I don't think Russell really collaborated. He tends to leave Moffat on his own, doesn't he, I think?
Yeah. Interesting that he produced it. Much RTD was involved. So, yeah, quite a good mix of stuff there. Some people loved it. Some people, I think everyone kind of liked bits of it. I don't think anyone disliked it, But I will say I'm much more looking forward to 73 Yards.
That looks like it's much up your street, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The kind of return to the spooky Who kind of thing. I thought when I saw the title for that one, I thought it was going to be about the Doctor choosing a golf club or something.
Or American football.
73 Yards. Yeah, that as well. Yeah. But no, that was a really bad joke, wasn't it? It took me ages. Just on some of those comments, though, because there's one thing I'd written down here. There's a couple of things. So I wanted to talk about Splice. And it was interesting that someone would point out that her actions on the battlefield make no sense, which I would sort of take issue with, I guess. If we saw a child doing that on the battlefield now, then yes, it would make no sense. But this is a future war, right? This is the conditions for this war are completely outside of our field of knowledge, really. And when you look at how the war was started, the rules of engagement are very different. So for one thing, we've got what's the word? It's the Anglican Church, isn't it? So there's a non too subtle metaphor, really, for the sort of the more militaristic side of religions, going to war and everything else. Of course, that's what they did in the Crusades and all sorts of things. And most wars are kind of fought in the name of God, king, and country, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's not too subtle. But of course, I see the thing that kind of switched me on to Splice was her name, Splice, right? So I'm not sure she is a daughter as such. I wonder if she's more of a clone, because usually Splice is, it's usually a reference to like DNA type stuff, right? When you splice DNA and do something weird with it. So that she could be a manufactured person, and many of them could be manufactured, clones or copies or whatever. I don't know, but I think the rules that determine the way this war is fought and the way people exist or live day to day within or on the edge of a battlefield are very far removed from what we kind of know now, right? So I'm not sure her actions are kind of, if that's what they mean with that. They might mean something completely different, you know,
Yeah.
because she was very fearless marching into that crater, right?
Yeah.
She, you know, and her reactions to her dad being dead were very different, perhaps, to the way we might have reacted nowadays, right? Because we would be more like, "Oh my God, my daddy's dead," and you know, that, which would be horrible. But she sort of took it in her stride. And yes, there's the sort of the message at the end is that, well, maybe it's her faith that gives her the strength to face up to these things and accept that somebody can still be with you after they passed away, and she's still got her hologram of her dad, and you know, so I think you know, the nature of reality in this future world is slightly skewed from our own experience, and we can't really sort of transpose our experience now onto something which portrays a future where the rules are very different. Having said that, maybe because of that, we lose a bit of empathy with some of the characters. Possibly, I don't know. I mean, the people there are saying emotions were pretty highly charged. So, you know, is it a case of having your cake and being able to eat it at the same time? You know, he's a very clever writer, Stephen Moffat.
Yeah.
That's for sure. He just doesn't do stories, mostly, you know. The other thing you mentioned was about Ruby becoming a bit more like Clara, which seems to be quite evident in this one. There's obviously something more to her, isn't there? We've already had the snow falling a couple of times, and we get the snow moment again, and it kind of freezes entirely, like time stands still in a moment, perhaps at that moment when she's just about to die.
Yeah. Someone said, if I had if I had a penny for every time Stephen Moffat snow on a battlefield, I'd have 2 pennies. Weird.
You're never going to be a millionaire making statements like that, are you? Really?
No. I'm interested with you know, what's up with Ruby. It sort of feels a bit like you know, some sort of magic like thing again. Most important in the UK.
Yeah, which is. Yeah, I mean, I kind of hope not. I hope it's just a mystery about. Yeah, it's the mystery about where she comes from, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, who is her mother? What's her parentage, and why was she abandoned? And there's obviously a story leading up to that. And we're going to get, what's it called, the Legend of Ruby Sunday at some point in the non too distant. So that presumably is when it's all going to come very, very clear, or further muddled.
Yes.
But just for once, yeah, it would be nice if they weren't the most important person in the universe, or somebody for who the Doctor's entire life cycle depends on, or the balance of the universe depends on an outcome from something to do with this person. Just for once,
I mean, hey, we did have just normal companions during the.
Well, we did. Yeah, that's true. I was spoiled there, wasn't I? Yeah,
but it feels a bit. Do you know what would have been quite nice is an alien companion or a future companion that could go into present day Earth and be sort of, you know, puzzled by everything. Or go back in the past and not know it all, and, you know, stuff like that. So that would have been quite fun. You know, a different dynamic rather than you know, something, you know, sort of magical type thing again. But we'll see. I'm hoping it'll be a cracking reveal when it gets there.
Indeed. Yes, we shall see, shall we? Yes.
So we will return.
We shall return
with a review for 73 Yards, and I hope to have been terrified out of my shoes.
Just saying on that though, right? Because I was watching a trailer for it, and we got those kind of distorted close-ups, haven't we? You know, like from, was it Inside Number 9 where they did that quite a lot. I hope we don't get too much of that in the show, because it's going to do my head in if all we get is these kind of close-up faces like, "Hey, are they coming through the doors?" or something. That's just going to freak me out. I just don't know how I'd cope with that. So, but anyway, yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm looking forward to the return of that style of Doctor Who. We have some great things with English villagers, which are not what they seem, kind of thing. So, indeed, join us next time when we talk about the 73 Yards.
See you then.
See you then. Ta-ta for now.